Ever feel like you're just kind of stuck in a rut at work? Like you're just going through the motions, you know? What if I told you there's like this way to kind of shake things up, to, become the kind of professional everyone wants on their team? And before you think, here we go again, another learn to code speech. This is different, I promise. Today we're going to do a deep dive on this really interesting article called Not Everyone Needs to Be a Data Scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Just came out this month on Medium. It's by this guy, a British professor, and actually, ironically, he is a data scientist, but he specializes in HR. But here's the thing. This isn't about becoming, some kind of data whiz overnight. It's more about like borrowing some of their secret sauce to make ourselves like way more valuable no matter what we do. British professor, he starts off asking this like a really blunt question.
Are you just clocking in every day? Or are you a real professional? And they argue it's not really about how long you've been doing something, but it's really how you approach your work, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is how the article, it introduces this idea of career puberty, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And they back it up with all these like stats and stuff, like this one survey that showed something like 70% of I think it was younger employees are already kind of feeling stuck in their careers, which is kind of wild. It's that feeling of like, wait, is this it? But for your job, and it can hit anyone no matter how much experience you have.
Yeah, totally. It's like you hit a plateau and you don't know how to get to the next level. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the article says that the secret to, breaking out of this career puberty, this rut, and actually leveling up is something they call, get this, data-driven reporting. And okay, I know what you're thinking. It sounds kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah, at first it does sound kind of, a little scary, but honestly, the article does a great job of explaining it in a way that anyone can understand. Just to be clear, this isn't about like becoming a data scientist all of a sudden. It's more about shifting your mindset, I guess, a new way to approach problems, and it's about making decisions that use data to get better results, which honestly makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Okay, so how about we break it down for our listeners? So data-driven reporting, it basically means not just relying on your gut feeling, but actually using data to make like smarter choices at work. How's that for a one-sentence summary? So the article, it goes on to explain like these 4 key elements of data-driven reporting. First one is numbers. Now, before tune us out thinking this is all about spreadsheets and algorithms and stuff, it's really just about being cool with using data, like actual numbers, to support your ideas, kind of like how British professor does in the article, like with those job market trends and the survey results. It's all like evidence. Gives their argument more weight,
Totally. Like, imagine you're in a meeting, right? And you've got this awesome idea. Would you rather just throw it out there? Or back it up with some like cold, hard data? That's the cool thing about using data. You instantly seem more legit and people will actually listen.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's not all about data, right? I mean, the article also mentions like intuition, which seems a little weird, don't you think?
Right. That's where like your experience comes in, all that knowledge you've built up. Data-driven reporting, it's not about like ignoring your gut. It's more like using data to, make your gut smarter.
Okay, so it's kind of like double checking your gut is what you're saying. I like it. All right, so what about this third element, analytical tools? Does this mean like everyone listening needs to go sign up for a coding boot camp right now?
No, not at all. Actually, the article, it even says that you don't need like crazy complicated tools. It's more about, knowing what questions to ask and then how to use data to answer those questions. Plus, there are all these AI tools now, like ChatGPT is a good example. You can analyze information without having to code at all. It's pretty wild.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so we've got the numbers, we've got our intuition, and we've got these like tools that can help us out. What was the last thing? The fourth part of data-driven reporting.
Oh, right. It's domain knowledge. And this is where all those years you've put in, all that experience in your field, that's what makes you valuable. But, and this is important, just knowing your stuff, it's not enough on its own. You got to combine it with those other 3 elements we talked about. The numbers, your gut feeling, and using the right tools.
It's like they say, data without context is just noise. And that's where your experience comes in, right? To cut through all that noise. Okay, so we've covered the 4 elements, but like, what does this all actually mean for the person listening right now? Like, why should they even care about all this?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Well, the article, it makes this connection back to how the job market is changing so fast. Like all those routine tasks, they're being automated, right? Which means employers, they don't just want someone who can follow instructions. They want problem solvers. They want people who can think for themselves, make decisions based on data, and come up with new solutions.
And that is where this whole data-driven reporting thing comes in, right? It's not just
Mhm.
about like being a human calculator. It's about having these highly sought after skills, the kind that can help you stand out, so you can make better decisions and honestly just thrive in your career.
Exactly. It's about being the person everyone wants on their team, no matter what your job title is. It's about taking charge, being proactive, always looking for ways to improve things, to get better outcomes, and using data to guide you.
To put it into perspective, the article actually highlights how much these data skills are in demand right now, like across all kinds of industries. They said on LinkedIn alone, there are like almost 5,000 open jobs that need people with these skills. That's got to mean something, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about getting a new job either. It's about being amazing at your current job. Think about it. You go into your next meeting, you've got all this data to back up your ideas. You can answer any question they throw at you. And you're not just pointing out problems, you're bringing solutions to the table.
Yeah.
That's data-driven thinking in action right there.
It's like you take control. Instead of just reacting to whatever happens, you're using data to kind of see things coming.
Right. And there's this other point the article makes that I thought was cool. It says that when you start thinking this way, like embracing data, it actually helps you meet more people at work too.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when you're using data more, you naturally start talking to more people, right? Like you might reach out to the data analysts in your company, or you start asking different questions in meetings, and you end up learning all this stuff you wouldn't have otherwise.
It's a win-win. You pick up these valuable skills, you make new connections, and you end up looking like a real leader, someone who's not afraid to try new things and use data to get ahead.
Exactly. There's this one part in the article where British professor asks this question. It really stuck with me. They ask, what's one thing at work that's like always bugging you? Like, instead of just accepting it, how could you maybe use data to fix it?
That's a good question. I think it's easy to just get so used to things being a certain way that you don't even think about changing them anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're listening to this right now, think about that for a second. What's one thing at your job that drives you crazy? Maybe it's a project that never seems to end, or a process that's just like way too complicated.
Is there any data you could use to figure out what's going wrong? Maybe you could track things in a spreadsheet for a while or try to pinpoint where things get held up. It doesn't have to be some big complicated thing to be helpful.
Yeah, keep it simple. And don't forget about all that other stuff we talked about, like your intuition and your own knowledge. What does your gut tell you about why this thing is a problem? And how can you use your past experiences to, like, find a better way?
You could even write it all down, like a little mini data-driven report based on what you find. Okay, maybe that's going a little overboard. But the point is, don't just listen to all this and then do nothing. Take what you learned today and try it out. See if it makes a difference in your own work. And that's our deep dive for today, all about how to think like a data scientist, even if you have absolutely no plans to become one. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.